Mark Skaar with my friend Eric, the drummer from Onions at a Crime Scene. Eric, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing terrifically well. Appreciate you having me on the show. Good to talk with you.
I understand you just got done with rehearsal.
Yeah, we just had a rehearsal, and I got to tell you, I could not be more excited about this. From where we started to where we are now, wow, I'm really excited to hit the stage at the Surf Ballroom and have other people than just the band members and our spouses hear our sound.
This is going to be fun, too, because it's going to be a friends and family show.
Absolutely, and before we went out on tour, we wanted to, have a friendly audience, if you will, and as we got to talking about it, the show is a friends and family show, but really it's a friends and family reunion. So there's going to be our classmates from the class of '86 at our high school and friends and family. It's just going to be like one big party reunion festival, if you will. But, at the same time, we as a band, it's our first show. It allows us to have a friendly environment, maybe to work out some kinks in our performance, in our stagecraft, if you will. And we're just so looking forward to seeing folks because, again, we're going to be playing a show. But then afterwards, we're just going to be hanging out and having fun with people who are near and dear to us. So it's just going to be a great night. And we're so thankful for you, helping us get into the Surf Ballroom, but also agreeing to be our MC for the show.
Our pleasure. It's going to be a great time. And Eric, the obvious question is, how does this qualify as a reunion when you've never played a show together?
That's probably the question I get asked most, and that also got asked by Todd, Laurel, and Lorelei as well. How can this be a reunion for a band that never existed? And really, it's not about a band reunion. It's about reuniting four friends. And Laurel and I graduated together. Todd and Lorelei moved away after 8th grade and 5th grade, respectively. And we haven't seen each other largely. I mean, Laurel and I have at some of our high school reunions, but we hadn't seen Todd and Lorelei since they moved away all those years ago. And we were really good friends in elementary school and just had some fun times together. And it's really been about that reunion process, and it's so much been less about making the music, which we love, but we've really so enjoyed just reconnecting with each other as adults and filling in the gaps of what we've been doing since elementary school or high school and getting to know each other again. So really the reunion was about the friends, not necessarily about the band.
Talking to Eric, the drummer from Onions at a Crime Scene. Eric, what's the reaction to the reunion tour been so far?
It's been overall very positive. You obviously have, I'll use this mildly, skepticism about, well, gosh, aren't you guys a little bit old to be doing this? Is this some sort of midlife crisis that you have to fulfill or something? And but on the other side, it's been very rewarding, the response we've gotten, that it's been so supportive, that it's like, hey, you know what? You guys are at a time in your life where, you put your lives on hold for kids and careers. Just go out and do something. And again, this reunion tour isn't about an ongoing band that we're going to be full-time. It's let's fulfill something we talked about as kids. We do a few dates. We make some music. We make some connections, some relationships. And we'll see where it goes. But overall, it's been very positive, and I think more as time goes on, it gets more positive. Where in the beginning, when I was thinking, let's do this reunion and get the friends back together, I think that's where most of the skepticism was, because it just seemed so improbable. But it's turned out to be something incredibly special, and we're really looking forward past the Friends and Family show to see how we're received by the public at large.
Eric, how would you describe your sound? Is it contemporary, traditional? What genre? How would you, if you had to pigeonhole, what would you say?
Well, I kind of laugh when you use the word, traditional, because we're not traditional, we're not conventional just by the very nature of our coming together. But I would say to describe our sound would be as if you would combine the Mamas and the Papas, ABBA, and Live. I think we're kind of into that mix. And, a lot of our music messaging is around the life experiences of Generation X. of, going from childhood where we look to being adults, and what does that look like? And, I've talked with folks that when I was, 9, 10, 11 years old, I thought those who were in their 20s were gods, small g, obviously, because, when you're in your mid-20s, you're out of school, you have your own job, you have your own place, you have your own car. You can make whatever decisions you want to. You don't have to ask permission from parents or teachers or authorities at large. And to me as a kid, that was always godhood, was to have that control of your life. And I found out that it pretty much is. But there's trade-offs there. When you have responsibility and obligation and commitments, and all of a sudden it's a whole different phase of life that you're in, and then as you near 50 years old, as the Onions all are, then you have a whole other stage of life where now you're empty nesters, and there's not as much time ahead of you in life as there was. And so a lot of our songs speak to not only the childhood experiences of Generation X, but our whole lifespan. And, part of the thing that really jumped out at me, in our music and our life experiences is the technology. We look at our generations today with their gaming and social networks and 24-hour news channels and delayed viewing of television, things of that nature. Well, that all started with our generation. We had VCRs. We had CNN growing up. We had things like Friendster in the 90s, which was the original social media. We had the first mobile phones. And you just realize that, for the difference in ages and experiences that we compare and contrast to this generation, there's really a lot of similarities. And if there's anybody that should be taking their cues from Generation X, it's the current generation. And there should be a lot of bonds there. So, our music speaks to experiences of our generation, but it was really fun to discover that there's commonality with other generations as well, like technology that they can identify with.
Talking to Eric, the drummer from Onions, at a crime scene. They're coming to the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake. The new album is called No Way Back Today. Did the band collaborate on the songs together, Eric?
No. That was myself and another songwriter named Elizabeth, who was terrific to work with, because I'm not a songwriter by nature. But I would just come up with some ideas, again, as we talked about life experiences, and collaborate with Elizabeth. And largely what I felt I had to do, since this was, I guess, my idea for the reunion tour, is when I pitched it to my friends, I wanted to have everything done and ready to go to show them, from the financial to the logistics to the music, that we had it all laid out, that there really wasn't any uncertainty other than, could we be a functioning touring band in a handful of months, and could we get this out to the public? So there's certainly, our fingerprints are all over these songs just by our personal life experiences, but as far as writing and the collaborating, it was myself and Elizabeth.
You're doing the invitation-only show at the Surf Ballroom, as we mentioned. Then you have 3 shows in Minneapolis, St. Louis, and Chicago after that. Eric, Why only 4 shows? Again,
in selling this, if you will, to my bandmates, I didn't want them to feel like this was going to be an obligation or a commitment. I wanted this to be fun. And a lot of times you have more time over the summer. And so essentially our last show will be at the end of summer in Chicago at the Bottom Lounge. And this was something that I could go to Todd and Laurel and Lorelei and say, hey, we're talking a few dates in a few cities, and essentially driving distance, because I'm in southern Minnesota, the rest are in Iowa. For us to drive to Minneapolis, St. Louis, Chicago was not a hardship. And we don't have so many instruments and equipment that we need a big truck, or there's a big logistical nightmare trying to get from show to show. But I wanted to keep things as simple as possible, and to do it in iconic locations that held a significant amount of people, but we weren't trying to fill Target Center, United Center, etc. we just wanted to do a few simple shows to say, hey, we went and accomplished our dream. It wasn't a traditional path. It wasn't in the way that anyone thought it would, but we did it. And I think that's really what helped sell the others on the idea was, I'm not saying we're going to quit our jobs and we're a touring band for the rest of our days. It's, let's take a summer. Let's do something that's fun that we talked about doing as kids, and then we go back to life as normal, except we're not going to lose contact. We've reformed and reforged those friendships that now, to me, that's the fun part after the tour is done, is we still are a part of each other's lives.
Eric, we're looking forward to seeing you and the band at the Surf Ballroom. Break a leg, my friend.
Mark, thank you very, very much. We so appreciate your support, and not only the airtime, but you helping us get to the surf and get on stage, and it is just going to be awesome. I'm literally getting goosebumps just talking about it and thinking of what the night is going to be, and so happy that, after all these years, you and I are coming back together for something that I could never have envisioned even 30 years ago.
Drummer Eric from Onions at a Crime Scene, coming to the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, live in concert. For Eric, I'm Mark Skaar.